Trademark registration and eligibility. A trademark is a word, symbol, or phrase used to identify a seller's products in order to distinguish them from another seller's products. Trademarks make it easier for consumers to identify the brand owner of a particular product or service. By making goods easier to identify, trademarks also give manufacturers an incentive to invest in the quality of their goods. After all, if a consumer tries a can of Coca-Cola and finds the quality lacking, it will be easier for the consumer to instead buy another brand next time. Trademark protection can extend past words, symbols, or phrases to include other descriptive aspects, including color, packaging, or formatting, called trade dress. A trademark can be registered if it performs the essential trademark function, meaning that it does not confuse or misinform consumers of the qualities of a product or the relationship between one party and another, and it has distinctive character, meaning that it distinguishes a company's product or service from another company, and it is able to identify the source of a particular good. There are 4 levels in the spectrum of distinction, including generic, descriptive, suggestive, and arbitrary or fanciful trademarks. The most distinctive level on the spectrum of distinction is the arbitrary or fanciful level. These trademark names are completely made up and are inherently distinctive and bear no logical relationship with the product. These are given a high degree of protection, and examples include Exxon, Kodak, and Apple. The second level on the spectrum of distinction is the suggestive level. These trademarks evoke or suggest a particular characteristic of the underlying good and tell something about the brand. Some imagination is needed to associate this word with the product, but they are usually semi-related, and therefore these are considered inherently distinctive and given a high degree of protection. Examples include Jeep Wrangler and Coppertone. The third level on the spectrum of distinction is the descriptive level. These trademarks describe rather than suggest a product or service or a characteristic of that product or service, like color, smell, size, materials, or ingredients. These are not inherently distinctive and need a secondary meaning in order for them to be protected. A descriptive mark acquires secondary meaning when the consuming public primarily associates that mark with a particular producer rather than the underlying product. These are the dividing line with trademarks, and examples include Holiday Inn and Vision Center. The fourth level on the spectrum of distinction is the generic trademark level. These are marks that describe a general category to which the underlying product belongs, but have no distinctive feature or names, and therefore are entitled no protection since they are too useful for identifying a particular product. Examples include Band-Aid, aspirin, Kleenex, or computers. Terms that are not originally generic can become generic over time through gentricity and therefore become unprotected. So, how can you acquire rights in a trademark? The first way to acquire rights in a trademark is by being the first to use the trademark in commerce. Use of the mark in this context means the actual sale of the product to the public with the mark. This is limited to the geographic area in which the sale occurs. The second way to acquire a right is by being the first to register the mark with the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office with an intention to use the mark in commerce. This gives a party the right to use the trademark all across the nation, even if sales are limited to only a limited area, with the exception that if the mark is already being used by others within a specific geographic area, they get to retain that right and I get to use it everywhere else. Can one ever lose a trademark? Yes, for 3 reasons. The first is non-use. Trademark rights must be maintained through actual use, and these rights will cease if not actively used for a period of time, which is usually 3 to 5 years. The second is through gentricity. When a mark is originally distinctive and it becomes generic over time, it loses its trademark protection. The third is abandonment, which is discontinuation with an intent not to resume. An intent is inferred from the circumstances. Why register through the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office? Although not required, registration gives many benefits, including the right to use the mark nationwide, constructive notice to all others, the ability to bring an infringement suit in federal court, and the ability to recover increased damages.